everyone, and welcome back to another TFT Masterclass. Today we'll be talking about the 3 best reroll comps to play on the current patch 14.15. 3 comps today, very basic. Syndra Vanguard is going to be our first one of the strongest reroll, if not the strongest reroll comp right now. Kassadin Reroll Strikers, and then Kogmaw Reroll as our third one. At the very end, we'll talk about what we went over in today's class, and then a Q&A for anyone watching this live. Alright, so let's get straight into it. The first one, Syndra Vanguards, as I mentioned, one of the strongest reroll comps right now, and this is more of a new version of the Syndra composition, moving more away from shapeshifters and moving more towards like the actual Vanguard frontline. And I'll explain why on the next slide. But essentially, this comp, it's still going to be a level 6 reroll magic damage scaling composition. Since Syndra is a 2 cost and Mordekaiser is a 3 cost, the way we just want to go about it is get that Syndra 3-star on level 6, and then on level 7 we could start slow rolling for Mordekaiser and go from there. So Mordekaiser, the reason why we're playing Vanguard is because of this Mordekaiser unit. Super good tank, also does a good amount of damage, so we will be itemizing Mordekaiser as our duo / our main tank. And then as usual with all Syndra compositions, you want to make sure you have that mana / attack speed item on Syndra ASAP, so you can start getting her cast in as soon as possible. This is what your level 6 board is going to look like. Very simple, 4 Vanguards and then your 2 enchanters. So it's essentially just like 4 Vanguards instead of 4 shapes. We're going to still reroll on level 6 for Syndra 3. The thing with this composition compared to the Shapeshifter one is the Shapeshifter one, you wanted to go like Cassiopeia 3 and then itemize her as well. But as itemization for Syndra got a little bit more optimized, we realized that Bow is really good component on Syndra. So this is Nashor's, this is Rageblade, this is Red Buff. So then Cassiopeia doesn't have any extra items to go onto her. So with this composition, we are going to not itemize Cassiopeia. It's going to be replaced with Karma later, but for now we just play for the 2 encanter. For Vanguard frontline, our main tank items are all going to be on Mordekaiser, so like Warmox, Gargoyle, Declaw, Spark, Sunfire. These are all fine. I think Bramble is a little bit worse than these. And then last but not least, in regards of Shred or not Shred, it's always going to be good. However, it's not going to be as important because Syndra already has that 20%. However, any Shiv or Spark late game will get that 30%, which is going to be better than the passive Syndra one. So this is perfectly fine. I mean, if you had a Rumble as well, then play that Rumble instead of like the Warwick or Blitzcrank, depending on whatever you have 2-starred. But this is just going to be your generic front line and your back line for when you're re-rolling mid-game. And then best install augments and also how to finish off your board. So this is going to be your level 8 board. We fit in Mage and Chrono with Karma, Vex, and Nami. Nami is actually very good for providing a lot of CC. However, the actual items or secondary backline items want to be going on Karma instead. Good augments, Prismatic Ticket allows us to hit everything. Support Golem 1 and 2, just super strong. 2 healthy Spell Blades and Learn New Spell are all amazing augments for the Syndra composition. More tanky, dealing a lot of damage just through our auto attacks after a cast, and then learning spell infinite scaling. Kind of deadly combat, unified resistance, and martyr, all generic combat augments that are always very good if you don't have, or if you don't need an econ and just need some immediate power. So this is the Syndra composition. Make sure that your itemization is just very like cast centric. So what I mean by that is like Shojins, Nashors, Red Buffs, Rageblade, like even the Rabadon can comes out for like a Rageblade or a Red Buff. Just make sure that Syndra is casting a lot and being able to stack ASAP. That's the first one. Moving on to the second one is very different. Kassadin multi-striker. So instead of like a scaling range, like frontline, backline composition, now Kassadin is going to be a melee mixed damage comp, but it's still going to be rerolling on level 6. The optimum build for this composition is just vertical multi-striker. So vertical is just going up in a traits tree, so going to be playing 5 multi-strikers for most of the game, and then once we have the opportunity to go to 7, we'll be playing 7 multi-striker, and then our dual carry is going to be the Sakala units, and we'll be receiving our excess items. This is what the board is going to look like on level 6. So 5 multi-striker, we're going to be rolling down normally on 3-2. We're going to level 6, and then roll for at least Kassadin 2. Best install itemization for Kassadin is going to be Rageblade BT +1. This +1 is normally going to be Quicksilver. If you don't have Quicksilver, then if you have an artifact, then this is definitely replaceable. So like Mittens, Zonya's, Rapid Fire Cannon, Wits, and Death's Defiance, these are all amazing artifacts on Kassadin as a third item. So this would replace the Quicksilver. And also if you have Banshees from like some support augments or like a support golem, then definitely forego the Quicksilver and do another damage item. Even like a Rabadon is fine on him. So make sure that you roll for this board, and it's going to be very stable for at least mid-game on Kassadin 2. Akali is just going to receive extra items if you have any. So this would be like Edge of Night, Hodge, Infinity Edge along these lines. And if you don't have any Akali items, and also you're not hitting a lot, but you randomly hit Kassadin 3 really fast, then don't stay back for the Akali and start sending it to level 8. So then you're able to get as high of a chance of getting that Camille in. In terms of positioning, you want to make sure that your Kassadin is allowed time to scale up. So against like fast-paced compositions or just like burst compositions, such as like a mid to late game Syndra, you want to make sure that you're opposite side, so the Syndra is not just bursting your Kassadin. However, against like Karma boards, you could position the same side and get that Kassadin into the back line, as Karma does not have any burst. Really good augment to play with the Kassadin composition is Keepers. So this is the case for I think almost all melee compositions where your melee carry is actually your front line. So then having Keepers kind of provides like a pseudo front line in a comp where the carry is your front line. So then position something like this, because you have that extra shield for the first I think 8 seconds of the fight, you can kind of like strong arm and position same side against boards that you think you can wrap and make it to the back line in cases where without Keepers you normally just get bursted down. So definitely look up for Keepers. Silver Keepers is better than Gold Keepers just in terms of the augment value for that tier. So definitely keep it out for that. And this is like a general positioning that you'd want to do. Moving on to best in slot augments for Kassadin, here we have Prismatic Ticket, allowing you to hit all your 3-stars. Support column is very good. Hopefully you have the chance to get either like a Banshees or a Lockout or an Aegis. These are very good. On the Kassadin composition, Immovable Object, just giving resistances to essentially your entire team. Help is on the way, more support. Stationary support is more support. And then press to attack, or press the attack is the multi-striker specific augment, just giving multi-strikers more damage. Multis +1 allows you to play 7 multi-strikers without needing Camille on level 8. And sometimes Camille is very hard to find. And then Keepers, as I mentioned earlier. In terms of positioning, make sure that your Camille is close to your Kassadin, so that way they're able to just really burst down whatever they're attacking together. And then Akali, you're just hoping that she gets to the backline and is able to one-shot some backline key carry. Moving on, we have our Kogmaw Nunu composition. So very strong top 4 comp, very strong mid-game composition. This is going to be a level 6 physical damage comp. It's best if you have your Nunu hero augment, the Sweet Tooth or Sweet Tooth Plus. This will allow you to cap a lot harder later into the game because you'll be scaling HP with Nunu. But without this, it's still fine to play. You just might find yourself going 3rd or 4th. This is what the board is going to look like. You're going to reroll on level 6 for Kogmaw, Nunu, and Rumble 3. The one thing to note with this composition is that even although it is called Kogmaw Nunu, if you have a choice between putting items on Rumble 3 or Nunu 3, Rumble 3 is actually better. So you actually want to be prioritizing those Rumble items first. In terms of itemization for Kogmaw, you're going to be wanting to build a Shojin, Last Whisper, and Giant Slayer. If you don't have Giant Slayer as a final one, then a Red Buff or Deathblade are fine as well. However, Shojin and Last Whisper are very good. Normally on backline carries, you don't really want to be building Shojin, especially on users that have a lot of attack damage and are just doing a lot of damage just from their regular auto attacks. However, Kogmaw's cast animation is straight into his next auto attacks is very short. So having Shojin on him allows him to pump out a lot of damage and give himself and adjacent allies more attack speed with his cast. Nunu wants to be your main tank, while Rumble wants to be kind of your off AP magic tank. So then items on Nunu will be more just like regular tanks. So Warmogs, Declaw. Remember that Nunu is a Bastion, so he gains resistances. So items such as Gargoyle Stoneplate are not as good on him. A Declaw is more of like a regen item, so we always don't mind the extra magic resist. However, the regen is very good. And then on Rumble is more like Crown Guard, Spark, and Adaptive Helm. Any excess items go onto Tristana or Jinx 3, and then you can add a Tristana on level 7 for Fairy and Blaster mid-game spike. And then this is what the final board is going to look like along with best in slot augments. So eventually we want to be playing around the Diana as our max cap, and then we could play around 4 Hunter as well with Olaf Twitch. Remember that Kogmaw or Jinx are our only backline damage, and going from that 2 to 4 Hunter Spike is actually quite significant. Sweet Tooth or Sweet Tooth Plus is the best for this comp. That way we actually have two like main consistent carries. Immovable Object, the Randuins, then you want to like really, you want to clump up a little bit more so then your entire team is able to get this Randuin's value. Prismatic Ticket, same thing with all reroll compositions, just being able to hit. Support Golem, this is an unbalanced augment right now. It's just super strong. The Golem is really good frontline, and then the actual support items are great. And then 2 healthy because we have a decent amount of 2 cost units, so then this is just better overall tankiness for our entire team. And then, as I mentioned, Tiny but Deadly, Combo Caster, Unified Martyr. These are all just like, they're just very good generic combat augments that you'll take either on like 3-2 or 4-2 as you're looking to do like your final row down. And like, you just don't want to look at the stats and you're like, okay, this is just combat that will help out my board. And that's it. So I'll do a quick recap of everything that we talked about, and then we'll head into a Q&A for anyone watching this live. So today we talked about 3 real compositions that are performing super well on the current patch, patch 14.15, Syndra Vanguards, Kassadin Multi-Strikers, and Kogmaw Reroll. I explained why Syndra Vanguards is more popular and also just performing better than the previous Syndra shapes. So just the Mordekaiser unit is extremely good. As soon as you hit that Mordekaiser 3 with 3 tank items, he never dies, tanks a lot for your Syndra backline, and your Syndra is just pumping out damage. Kassadin Multi-Strikers, make sure to check out for your positioning. As soon as Kassadin dies, the brunt of your damage is gone. So positioning Kassadin correctly, making sure that he's able to stack up his Rage Blade and not get CC'd, at least until they get QS, is vital for that comp. And then Kogmaw Reroll, very good composition, front to back, if you have physical damage items, and definitely look out for that Sweet Tooth augment. So that has been everything for today. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night.